Hi guys, here we are with Karma. I'm not even sure of her first name proper, but Karma I know her as through Discord. She's a co-host with Roger on a lot of his live streams over on Minds, and I met her through him. And he said that I find Karma very interesting because of his
hmm
spirituality and stuff. And so here we are. So I don't know where to start. So I already know you're a very spiritual person because I knew that from our chat last night, quick chat we had last night. So when do you think it
Yeah.
already started with you? When you were young, when you were older? When do you think it started?
So like when I was young, I would see like spirits and stuff, and they
Mm.
used to scare me. So they did something like my family did some type of thing to kind of suppress that. And then but like it would still come like around, the spirits would still come like around and stuff. And then like it like kind of stopped stopping when I was 14. My great grandmother, she passed away 13. And when she passed away, like her spirit came to like the doorway. It was just at the doorway, and she had the dress that she ended up wearing when she ended up wearing when I when she was buried. Like it was before she was buried. It was before her funeral, and she was at the door, and she had like this long white dress, and she was kind of just standing there like with her arms out, but she wasn't standing, she was hovering. And she came to the door, and like, excuse me, I told my mom, I was like, Mom, grandma's here, excuse me. And then when Brandon sleep in the bed with her, and then she said she visited her that night as well. Then as I got older, like it would be like I could hear I hear voices, and I kind of would like block those out. But then one really dominant event happened, like precedent event anyway. It like in 2011 in December, there was like this skull in the yard, and the skull was like it was almost like it was speaking to me type thing. So I went to Jersey. I went to school, and where I went to go visit my family. When I came back home from visiting my family, I there was a skull like in the driveway. And then I was married. I'm divorced now, but then I was married, and I told my now ex-husband, I was like, hey, like what is that? Like there's a skull right there. And he's like, oh no, you're like you're crazy. And it's like, no, it's a skull, and it looked like a human skull. So I'm like freaking out. I'm like, no, no,
Mm.
no, 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 like running in the house, and it's like something like don't tell him not to touch it, because I'm thinking it's a human skull. Like don't touch this skull. Like this is somebody and somebody's head. I don't want you to get in trouble for like murder. And he's like, so he leaves it alone that day. Then the next day, I'm in the house, and he's outside, and he knocks on the window, and I'm like sitting on like the arm of the couch type thing. And he knocks on the window, and he like kind of holds the skull up, like dancing with it. It's just fake. It's a prop. Blah 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 blah. And I'm like freaked out by this skull. Like for whatever reason, it's like it's talking to me, like kind of like how Harry Potter sounds when he's speaking Parseltongue. And he's just like, and I'm just like, no, something's not right. And so when I go outside, and he's feeding the dogs, and the skull is sitting over there, and then like on the corner, like not really close to me, and I'm sitting at the top of the steps while he's down, like kind of in the yard feeding the dogs. All of a sudden, I hear like a lot of and white noise, like talking. And I stood up, and I was like, hey, I don't really feel that good. And then he's just like, what's wrong? And I said, I feel like I'm about to. And as soon as I get ready to say faint, I get ready to drop. He grabs me. He like catches me right before I hit the ground. And so then I sit down. He sits me down in front of the chair that's right in front of the skull. Now all of a sudden I hear shh, like the white noise, the loudest white noise of your life. It's since subsided, but there's times where I'll get downloads, and it'll still, you can still like hear. I can still hear the noise, but he's talking to me. I, my body is sitting in a chair, and then I begin to hover over my body, and I am hovering over my body and I'm hearing like ambulances and stuff. And I'm like, hey, am I dead? Am I dead? I said, are those ambulances coming for me? Because I'm outside of my body. I'm looking down at my body. I see him walking over here in the corner. And I'm like, and he's like, how could you be dead? You're talking to me. I'm like, no, but I'm not here. I'm not here anymore. Because I was like up here and I'm like seeing the body down here and my body is not moving, but it's not like I'm slouched or slumped or anything. I'm literally like just sitting up and my spirit is hovering. And then he's talking to me and he's telling me I'm not there, I'm not there, blah, 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 blah. So every time he would bring I was like, something's not right. So I reconnect to my body and then I get ready to start to like leave. But every time I go to walk, I like my legs keep giving out. So then anytime he puts the skull close to me, I start feeling like I'm about to faint. And then he moves the skull away from me. I could feel a little bit more strength. Skull close, I start feeling crazy. So I was like, it's the skull, it's the skull. You have to get it away from me. So this is in 2011, December 2011, and like from that day, like I remember I was like, you gotta take me to the hospital for that. And then when he got the skull away from me, we're driving and I guess we were gonna be on our way towards the hospital. He's like, he's like, how do you feel? And like I was like enlightened, and like that was it. It was like I during that time I heard a bunch of voices and they were saying there were like there's signs everywhere. You have to pay attention to the signs, you have to focus. You create your destiny, you create your life, and like your life is good. Like it was just like a whole bunch of things basically telling me that I'm in control, that I'm never out of control, and like I have a whole lot of power. It was just it was really intense. And so like I said, my response was he was like, how do you feel? And I was like, enlightened. And so he kind of like we kind of left it at that. So I guess it really intensified. Like I said, like in 2000, like I was all like when I was a kid, I would see dead people, but it scared me. And then when as I got older, I saw my grandma, my uncle Larry. Like I would see people every here and again. I could tell people I found people for like they'll be like, "There's the missing person," and I'm like, "Oh, they're in the shed," and they'll have like those anonymous numbers to call and stuff. And I'm like, "Oh, they're there in the shed," and they'd be like, "They're in the shed," and like I just call the number and I tell them what the warehouse or where they're at and stuff, and they'd find people. And I didn't do that often because I didn't want to get to a point to where like, how do you know where all these dead people are? And like like I'm not big with attention. I don't like so I've learned that when people are unable to do what you can do, they'll either shun you, kind of like you were saying, like, they'll either shun you for what you can do, or they'll discredit like what you can do. They'll either say like you're weird or something like that, try attempt to outcast you, or they'll say you can't really talk to dead people. You don't really know what's going on, and blah 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 blah. And just to kind of avoid any type of negative backlash and stuff, I kind of just like stayed off the scene. But like I said, after that skull, it got really hard. Like I would start speaking with my hands. I picked up glossolalia, which people call tongues and stuff, to where, like at first, I would just be speaking it, and I would like most people do, and not have any understanding of what I was saying. And then, as time has progressed, I realized that it would be people existences, spirit speaking through me, and then I can understand it. So it's like now it'll be like a meeting of the minds kind of thing, to where it'll be a bunch of people come and talk to me or to each other, and it's different people because there'll be different dialects. And I always know what they're saying now. Like I can explain it to people. Like people are like, what did you just say? And like I can explain it. I didn't used to be able to do that with my hands as well. I communicate a lot with my hands. At first it was really unintentionally, like I always spoke with my hands, like moved around and stuff. But then, like after the skull happened, like it would be times to where I'm just like grounding, and like I remember my ex saying, he's like, hey, you're going to have to learn how to control this. I didn't even know what this was. Like, control what? Like, what are you talking about? What's happening to me? Why am I like this? Like, what do you mean? And I couldn't. I remember we went to their friend of their family's house, and it was a guy. The guy was a really evil guy, but I didn't know he was an evil guy. I just knew him as, I think her name was Sheila's wife, Sheila's husband. So I knew him as Sheila's husband. But when I go there, him and his dog are outside, and I'm in the front passenger seat of the car. As soon as I go there, though, my hands start going crazy, and I'm like, and my ex's dad, he kind of knew what I was going through. They knew more than I did, because I never experienced anything so intensifying and just like deliberate surges of energy and what felt like power and stuff, and I could make stuff happen. And the dog like started going crazy. Like he was standing outside like with his Rottweiler, and my ex was talking to him over there. And when I started talking and I started moving my hand, the dog, and the window's up, the dog is like barking, attempting to attack the car. And he's like, if you ever seen that movie Bones, he's like that kind of. He's a Rottweiler, but he was acting like him. Like he was vicious. He's drooling. He's like salivating. He's going crazy. And the guy is like, "What do you have in the car?" He's like, "I don't have nothing in the car." He's just like, "Why? Like, what's in there?" Like, he's just like, "Nothing." He's like, "Just my girl, my dad." He's like, "No, there's something in the car." And then my ex is like, "Nah, there's nothing in the car." But the way the dog was going insane. And then his dad was just in the back. He's like, "Yeah, he knows it's you. He knows it's you." I know what is who and what is happening. And it's just been like that. Like, it's been like that a lot. Like I have learned how to control my hands, but sometimes in most cases, I mean, like it's difficult. It just depends on how powerful stuff is. I had a son that I gave birth to, and his name is Yahweh, and he was taken from me when he was 40 days and 40 nights, and then like it when he was I knew he was still alive, and instead of like everyone else was telling me I was crazy, and they're like, "Oh, this is what happens, mothers grieve, and you're experiencing the grief process and blah 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 blah, this that and the third." And I'm like, "No, I don't think that's it." I said, "Yahweh's still alive." They showed me his body, but they wouldn't let me see his bottom half. And they told me I had to only look through here, but his face was so much bigger than he ever was. Like he would have lost weight if anything, and it looked like Play-Doh, like all around his ears and folded on his ears and stuff. I was like, "That's not my son." I said, "I have to see identifying birthmarks." They're like, "No, you can't. You're not allowed to. No, you're not allowed to move the thing." So as years are progressing, this one day I'm in my grandmother's house, and he runs by me in the spirit realm. He's like, "Hi, mommy," and he runs by me like maybe he was playing wherever he's at, and but he visited me, and he was like, "Hi, mommy," and he just kept going, and I was like, "Yahweh!" Like I couldn't believe that. Like I'm like seeing my son. He was growing. He was like 3 or 4. He's like 3 or 4 at the time, and he's probably about 3, yeah, maybe 4, but I think it was 3 because of the years of us moving. And prior to that, before he even got hurt, my ex and I had gotten into a really bad argument, and I went to my grandmother's house, and I had my baby. My baby had never lifted his head up like by itself or anything like that, like so intensely. He was sitting on my shoulder, and he went from like my shoulder, like to make himself come to look right in my face, and he looked me in my eyes, and I'm looking at him because like, what are you doing? And he said it. He said, "Mommy, if you go back home, he's gonna hurt me." And I'm thinking I'm losing my mind because I heard him as clear as day. His mouth did not move. He just connected with me. He looked me in my eyes. He says, "Mommy, if you go back home, he's going to hurt me." And I'm looking at him, and I'm like, I'm not hearing this. But I had already kind of felt like that, like something was gonna happen to my baby. But and I attempted to stop feeling like that, and he was there. He was healthy, and everything was good. But he looked me in my face and he said that. So no short of a week, maybe 2. It's like about a week or 2. It wasn't really a whole 2. It was about 2. Um, he suffocates my son in his bassinet. Only, like I said, he stayed alive, and like it's just ever since that, because of that, and the events actually transpiring, it has resulted in me making sure that I pay attention to the signs. And that's what the skull told me. I know that sounds crazy too, but that's what the skull said to do. It was like pay attention. There's signs everywhere, to the point to where I know that if I see a license plate with certain letters, that it's a sign. I use the supreme alphabet, the supreme mathematics. I'm aware of like different, like like the way I speak, like I said, with my hands, and not always listen. Like I'll be the crazy lady, but I'm going to listen. You know what I mean? Because when I didn't listen, my baby got hurt, and he told me he was going to get hurt. So yeah, it's been now consistently about 13. This is my 14th year, um, consistent with like the energy, like yeah, about 13, 14 years, to where it's just been everything. Because like I said, so it happened in 2011. I was already doing the skull happened in 2011. I was already doing my soul searching prior to. I always believed we're gods when every day, realizing great opportunities do subsist. Even if you read the Bible will say, well, Psalms 82 verse 6 is like, oh, we are all gods. People are very they're skeptical about that. They talk to me like, oh, that's blasphemy, but we are, like, we're creators, and I recognize this, and I stand on this, and I support this, and I encourage people to thrive in this. And so it's just been, like I said, and this is my 14th year about now going through, and I've been consistent with that type of energy. Yep.
Oh my God. Wow.
And that's what Roger means. I'll talk your ear off. I'm like,
Roger did
I
warn
am
me.
just talking and talking and talking and talking. That's what Roger was saying.
Oh my God. Oh wow. Oh, that's been. Well, that's really
So
shook.
now I can hear people's thoughts, like how when I was talking to you, and it was almost like I was answering questions, like, well, can you hear me or can you not hear me? But it's like sometimes, just if I'm tuned in, I can hear people's minds. I don't tune in too much because it's intense. So
Oh my God. Just um, I know it's a minor matter, but the skull. What happened to the skull after? And it was like a kryptonite to you, wasn't it? Almost
no,
like a
it's
Superman.
like,
Oh, keep away from me. That's
it's
good.
like right, right. I don't want to hear it anywhere. But the earplugs in, and the voice gets louder though, because it's
Yeah.
like now it's just all blocked into the brain, and yeah.
Oh. Yeah. Wow. I don't know. That's really shocked me. That did. Wow. But you've got a hell. That's hell's the right word. But you've got a. How can I say? All of us got a connection with the spirit world, but you've got a really, really strong one, very strong one. You've had it since you were a child, from what you've said, and I think it's because you sort of suppressed it when you were younger because of seeing spirits and stuff. That's why it sort of came out in a big way. Then when you grew up, when you were a bit older, it seems like to me, my as an outsider. I don't know if you agree with that or not. I don't know.
No, it makes sense. Like, this is gonna sound really weird, but I am literally searching for help with myself. Like, I know who I am. I know what my purpose is, my mission is. I know I'm supposed to save the world. Like, I'm here to save the world. I know that sounds crazy. Oh, what are you, Batman? No, but it's crazy because one time at band camp, no, not really, but and it was August, and it was August 15th, and my my ex and I, we got into, like, we were in an argument or whatever, and we were in our house. We lived in Winter Garden. I live in Florida, so that's where we were at. We were at our house in Winter Garden, and I was in the kitchen. I was sitting down in the chair in the kitchen, and he was outside, out like just like outside, right down the steps. So we were like talking from the argument. Excuse me. And then the spirit came in and says, "Come," and like, come with me. And I stand up. It's crazy because like it was almost like it made me get up because I didn't have a choice. It was like, come with me. And I, like, in a trance almost, but I can see it, like, as I'm telling you now, I'm watching me do it again. And I walk from the kitchen to the bathroom, and I go to the bathroom. And when I go in the bathroom, I look in the mirror, and I'm looking in the mirror. And as I'm looking in the mirror, it is my face, but it's on fire. And it's on fire, but it's not the orange fire. It's like, okay, so if you look at the sky at nighttime and there's stars all in the sky, Like my face was on fire with stars in it. So it wasn't like an orange fire or anything. It was like a blue
Blue
fire, like a
fire, right?
nighttime sky fire with stars in it. And
Wow.
the spirit would speak to me. But when it was my turn to respond and tell me what I was supposed to do, they said, "This is your mission. This is your purpose. This is what you're here to do." Telling me about my ability to heal, telling me that people will tell me that that I'm sick, that I have virus, that I'm sick, that I have disease, like, but I'm a healer and that I'll be able to heal other people. That you are going to heal, and you're going to prove who I am. And every time that I would get asked a question and it was my turn to answer, it would turn back to my regular face. And then when spirit would come back and respond or say something else to me, my face would be on like there was no me. There was no, you could not make this face out. It was like all of this was gone. There was no bottom, but like I was there. I was standing in the mirror, but you could not see this in the mirror when spirit spoke. And it was just a fire on my face, my whole face, whole head, everything was just fire, but a nighttime sky fire. And literally me being given commands. And then when it was time for me to accept, it would be my face again, and I could see it. And like I remember, like after the interaction, like just being in the back, like bowing and just like thanking God and thanking Source, because like I grew up Christian, but I've since, I don't want to say straight away, but I've since learned more, and so I'm more spiritual and more focused on enlightenment, focused on the overall power of Source, as opposed to like the prophets in between, because in which case I am and others are as well. So there's really not a hierarchy when it comes to that. Just the supreme power is the ultimate. And like right now, I'm talking to you, my third eye itches. I usually cover it because when I have too much of me open, like I receive too, and
Yeah.
it can be intense just depending on what I'm receiving. I definitely dislike being in front of like social medias with my third eye exposed. You'll catch it sometimes, but it's just what people can do in regards to that. So,
Oh,
mm,
I never thought about that.
yeah, you got to be careful. And people I just saw something. Roger's so smart because Roger leads me to so many different things. And I just read something that was talk like just based off of our talk. And I was telling him about stuff like this. And now they say that the third eye is just a myth. They say it's
No, no way.
something that yeah, they're like it's a mythological belief that people are able to create things with their minds. Like it's just a bunch of blasphemy. It's just a bunch of nonsense. And I'm like, are you kidding me right now? Like it's our main interceptor, it's our main interpretator, and it's our main projector. So how can you like just kind of like basically calcify it, like, but like strategically, even with words, we know they've been doing it with fluoride and how much our salt intake is, but for it to be to where now we're saying that it's not a non-existent component of the body, like that's really extreme because of how essential it is for our growth and our elevation and just enlightenment in general.
Mm. Yeah, it's very interesting. That's not something I've ever thought about. I think a lot about energy and stuff because I've been drawn with healing about with to know how important it is. Your energy zones in yourself. How you've got to like my phone going off again. How they've got to be clear for you to function properly as a soul, a spirit. You know, I know that, but I just never thought about the third eye. I never really just never thought about it. Funny enough,
Mm-hmm.
just never thought about that at all. Which is, yeah,
And it gives you a lot to consider when you actually think about it, because it gives us our power.
yeah,
And so if we live in a power drawn, power driven, power hungry society, like right now, Spirit just walked by. Like it's so crazy because they've been coming around so much lately. Like I did my live stream before I came here and somebody walked right here. And then just now I was talking and someone walked right here. Sometimes they are like a white aura, sometimes they're a black aura. I'm not afraid of them anymore as like being an adult. And my kids, they say they see my they both have different powers. My kids
yeah,
both have different, well, the ones here, they both have different powers. And like it's funny because like when people pass on, like I can kind of tell before it happens. I um like Kobe Bryant's daughter that passed was reincarnated into her little sister, and because she wanted to come home. She wanted. That's what she kept saying. That's what she kept saying to me. She cried. I remember, never forget. I was at the Holiday Inn, and it sounds crazy. And the day that happened, and she was crying, 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 crying. Kobe was there, and he was really upset because he knew what he did. And I don't like to go into too extreme, but he felt bad for choices he made that he thought that he was able to kind of get a loophole out of. He thought by having all girls, he was safe, but it just was a lie. So anyway, he was up there, he was there, and he was upset. He was like hitting at the wall, and there was a lot of stuff happening. But Gianna kept crying, and she's like, "I want to go home. I want to go home with my mom." And so Source let her come back, and she's the little sister, not the baby, but the second to the baby. And that's something that I know will prove itself, if not started to already,
Yeah.
sooner than later. But like, yeah, that's her. And well, not her, because the child, of course, has her own personality, but she's incorporated within the existence. And most likely, mom's probably found her talking to what looks like herself, but it's her sister. And like, just like Kobe, he kind of dispersed his energy. He spread it out. He didn't reincarnate into any specific, but he dispersed his energy in order to be spread out. And like stuff like that kind of makes me nervous to even say, because people think something's wrong. Nipsey Hussle, he's somebody else. The day that he died, the day that he got shot, he came through my window. This was when I was still in Winter Garden. He came through my window, and I'm like, and he hadn't died yet. And I'm like, what are you doing here? And I'm like, he's standing there, and I see him, and he's in a white tracksuit, and he's just like, it's time. I was like, no, it's not. You can go back. And he's just like, and I'm telling him this, but I'm not telling him this. But this is what he's being told. And I'm laying on my bed, and it's against this wall. I was like, you can go back. And he just like, he kept insisting that this is what he wanted to do. He wanted to move on. And finally, what was able to release him was he was like, man, I'm not ready. And when he said that, it was kind of like Source Spirit all let go and allowed him to transition. And then the next thing you know, it was like everyone was going crazy. Nipsey Hussle just died, blah, 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 blah. And it kind of made me feel crazy, because he literally, before anyone knew, like, was just like, he walked through the window and he was standing right there. And I'm like, what are you doing here? And like, it's time. And it's like, it's not time. Like, no, you can go back. Like, attempting to kind of argue and reason with him. Like, no, and then he put his hands together, he clapped them together, he shook his head, and he was like, man, I'm not ready. And he went just like that. And then next thing you know, he was gone, and everybody found out that he was dead.
Mm. Saying about your family having abilities, my son is one of my sons is a healer, but he doesn't do it. He just does it like to close friends or something. He's not a common knowledge. So I'm not going to say which one because I've got a
Mm-hmm.
few sons. And also, my mother was a fortune teller as well,
Mm.
who sort of predicted her own death in a way to me.
What?
She said to me, she wouldn't read my cards till I was 16. And when she did, it's the only time she ever did it, she said to me, a fair-haired woman close to you can hear of a death of a fair-haired woman close to you. And I said, well, I don't know anyone, because the girl I was dating at the time had black hair, and the only one I knew was her. And I just did nothing of it. And 6 months after, she was gone. So,
Oh my God.
yeah,
She was telling you.
yeah, died in front of me, yeah. But there we go. Wow. Yeah, my son just, yeah, we were talking about healing one day, and he just said that he'd help some of his friends and stuff. Then he just do it quietly. He doesn't make a big thing of it, but he just does it. And I thought, wow, okay, that's pretty good. And he's good with animals as well. Animals all love him. Just they're drawn to him, So I think it's part of his who he is, I'm the same. I love
Mm-hmm.
animals as well. I forgot what I was going to say. No, got on my train of thought now.
Animals and babies. It's like animals and babies. This one day we were at the flea market, and this little baby girl, and I have no girls, this little baby girl came like, and cried to her family to let her come to me. And they were like, because she kept, they didn't know what
Oh,
she wanted. And when they finally put her down to see what she wanted, she just came to me and sat on my lap, and like she just laid on my chest. And every time they went to take her away from me, she would scream
wow.
like Bloody Mary. Yeah, never seen this child a day in my life. I'm just sitting there, I'm eating with my family, and my kids are looking like, "Look, lady, this is not your mom. To give us back our mom," type thing. But she was the sweetest, prettiest little baby girl I've ever seen in my life, and she was so gorgeous, and she had like big pretty eyes,
Mm.
and her skin was so beautiful, and like it was just so crazy because like nobody was being mean to her. You could tell she was well kept, well taken care of, but for whatever reason she just lay, and she just laid, and they kept like taking attempting to take her, and then she would scream. I'm like, she's okay, and like unless you have to leave, she's fine. And then it was like they would just keep doing, and she would scream, and then we
Wow.
would give them back to her and she screamed. She just wants to sit with me, she just wants to be with me. She cried until I left. Like she was crying even when she had to leave, and I was like, look baby, it's okay, everything's gonna be all right. And
Yeah.
she just pouted her lips. Like I'm putting her in the stroller, she just pouted her lips like she was upset, but she's like, okay, if you say it's good, then it's good. But like I said, I didn't know this baby, and she was just like, I don't know. It was just, it's intense. It's really intense. Like,
Mm. I was just going to say something to you again there. It's gone up my head. It's like, oh yeah, I'm going to do that.
I
And then it's
apologize. I need
gone.
that up so you
It's
can
gone.
think.
Yeah, it's gone. I can't remember. I was going to tell you something. And oh, and it's gone now. It's something to do with. Oh, yeah. I remember now. It might freak some people out. I'm not one for seeing ghosts and stuff. I think I've only maybe ever seen a handful, and maybe then I didn't even realise they were ghosts. But let's just say there was a little girl in where I live in now. A little girl with heart trouble. I think from what I could tell, she must have been very young, 3, 4, and she was just around the house for over a year. And a very good friend of mine, a healer of mine, I told him about it, and he said, "Just tell her she needs to go home." And I did, and it was felt the most emotional experience in my life. I just really felt, because I got sort of attached to this little girl in the house. I didn't see her, couldn't physically see her, but in my mind's eye, she was there. I knew she was there, and she was like hiding stuff. She's moving stuff. Nothing nasty about her. She was just attached to me for some reason. I I'm not going to say in public what the reason is, but I'll tell you off camera what the reason is. I think behind it.
Oh,
But yeah, so I sort of focused on that night about telling her to go home, go towards the light, and whatever, and she did, and it was like an emotional wrench from me. But she went. She'd never hear it again, and my friend was right, because he's a healer. In fact, he won an award. I'm not sure how you can win an award for being a healer, but he was Britain's best healer. He won an award for it. I don't know how he can even do that. How would you? Where do they give these people
it's
awards
not
from?
even an option here.
Yeah,
But that's just so beautiful that it's embraced,
yeah.
because here in the States, they're not even considering like healing as something. Like I have an energy restoration business just based off of being able to restore our energy, and because energy is our highest form of currency, and like
Mm,
people kind of like neglect that aspect of life. So that's awesome.
yeah. Well, I got a chap, my next door neighbour's son. He's a Reiki master. Me and him are very sort of,
Mm.
we're close. We talk every so often. He comes down. We have chats for like we're chatting now for an hour, all about spiritual stuff and what have you. And he wanted to do Reiki on me because I was actually, I think I was ill, suffering with something minor at the time, and he wanted to do Reiki on me. I said, yeah, fair enough. So he was like, the way he does Reiki, he puts his hands over you, doesn't actually touch you, just his hands over certain parts. And he put them over my head, and in my head, I saw him like as if he was opening my head, and this big beam
Oh
of light coming out of it.
my
And this
goodness.
is what I saw. And then a little while after, he said, "Tell me, did you experience anything? Did you see anything?" And I said, "Well, yeah." I said, "When you're doing around my head, I could see this huge energy coming out of my head." And he said, "Yeah, I saw it as well." He said, "I've been doing Reiki for years." He said, "But I have never come across anyone with the amount of energy that you're projecting." And I said, "Well, I don't know, I've no idea." Because and he just said what he said, and he was quite like taken aback. The Reiki experience affected him more than it affected me, because he could see parts of me that perhaps he couldn't see otherwise. I don't know, but I don't know. Just saying. Anyway, back to you. So
No, no,
anyway,
no, no. I was because when so I'm attempting to follow the rules because Roger's like, remember you're getting interviewed, but I like so when I listened to your interview, I was listening to you talk about how you heal and how you've been
yeah,
doing it, but people like you said kind of just discredit the fact, and then you said that you were healing someone with cancer. I just wonder, like. Had you been healing and then storing that energy as opposed to transferring it, like
yeah,
it just I could imagine, and especially like if you have like pressures like headaches and stuff like that, which case would make me wonder if that's what, because I have a friend who gets really really bad headaches and they just started getting them, but they also it also started happening upon their spiritual journey. Like the more they became more in tune, the more they became more enlightened, that's kind of when the headaches were starting. Excuse me. And I know that it can be either way. It could be something bad if we're not focusing and we're not grounding. I know that was something you were discussing as well,
yeah,
as being able to make sure that you ground so it does
yeah.
not
That is
affect
my
the healing.
weakness, really. I don't ground enough. Get
Well, no, I was just going to ask you, what do you feel like you have to do in order for it to be more effective? At least whatever grounding techniques you're doing now, how do you make them or incorporate them to be more effective so
um.
you're less affected?
Well, a friend told me what he does. He's another healer. Actually, lives close to me. He said expels them. He said put you focus on putting them in something, and then they go away from you. And
Mm.
what I did one day, I was helping someone who suffers a lot of anxiety, and it affects me. I have the anxiety in me, and that affects me cause I'm not an anxious person as a rule. So we said focus on the sky, focus on a cloud, and expel it as if you're pushing it towards a cloud. And I did that one day, and I thought, wow, that worked. I love your cat. And so that's helped me a lot. That's what I've been doing recently. And the person I said about to you over the cat, he's a friend of mine. I'm just trying to help him. I don't know if I can. I've not. It's not something I can go around saying yes. I've done that to help someone with that before because I haven't. Every time I've tried, there was one person I tried to help years ago, and I could actually focus on them as well. I could see them, I could see everything there, but it was like I could see you now. I was there, ready to try and heal them, and I was pushed away. Like, no, you're not meant to do this, and that was that.
Mm.
So it could be. It hasn't happened with this person yet. I've been trying to help. I'm focusing on the area where he's got the most problems, but I just don't know if I'm going to be able to help him or not. I probably would say no. I don't know. It's not something I've ever done before, and
How do
if
they
I can
feel
help
about
him, if I can help him, then great. If I can't, well, at least I've tried.
it? Is he receptive towards it?
Um, I think so. Yeah, as I said to you yesterday, I helped one member of his family before with COVID, so hopefully he is. Yeah, but
Yeah.
I just don't
Some
know.
different.
Yeah, it does make a difference. Yes, I know that for sure. Yeah, totally agree with you there.
Yeah, it's just because if you're going giving it your all in that, I was thinking about your grounding too. People's belief systems could actually have an effect on how you feel and what effect it has. Because like I guess for my grounding, I'm always like I'm focused like to start my day, do my meditation type, and then to end my day too, especially my gratefulness, my gratitude. But throughout the day, I know when I'm channeling energy, like I can feel it. I get really hot, and then if I'm not really hot, I get dizzy, especially if it's a lot. If I'm in public and there's a lot, my cat has hair all in my mouth now.
Oh no.
If there's a like she doesn't. I want her when I want her to jump up. She doesn't come over here. Now she wants to be a cuddle bug. And then
She wants to say hello to me.
when yeah, she wants her TV debut, honey. And when it's like I start hearing a white noise when I know that's how I know when I'm overwhelmed and I have too much. It's when it's intensified to where I'll start feeling really nauseous. I'll hear the
Mm.
white noise and I feel like I'm about to pass out. To where I have to lay down on the floor and I just have to kind of, and that's my grounding. But that's how I know when I'm overwhelmed. The good that used to happen like once a week. Now, if I experience something like that once every 6 or 7 months, is amazing. Like, because I've been doing more to make sure that I protect me,
Yeah,
even if I'm
yeah.
going to help others. Because I mean, it's no good to anyone if I'm like losing it, you know?
Mm. Yeah, I know what you mean. I sort of try and focus on having a protected bubble around me. I try to do that, and sometimes I do. There's like a in the past. I can't really go too much into it now, but I've created like a bubble around like myself and my family in different ways, and certain things have happened, and I felt like that bubble's like been cracked. Maybe I've overstretched myself healing and stuff like that. But that's another story. It could go well into that. But
Of course, feel protection. Like you said, like a cocoon.
cocoon. That's it. That's
Yeah.
it. Cocoon. That's the smack on. That's the word. Yeah. Um, yeah. So there's some stuff I can't really say on camera for different reasons, but it's to do with that. It's probably when, because as I said to you, in with me, I've had different stages of healing, different levels, and my first stage of healing sort of ended on, so you could say one of my cocoons broke, and then it was like rebuild time, and then you rebuild again, which took a long, long time, and then you get to a stage where you can start to help people like I'm starting to do again now. But you know, and I'm probably in a better place as well. Back then, I was starting to get, I think, affect me up here, like getting a bit, in a small way, conceited a little bit. You know, the ego, inflating the ego a little bit. You know what I mean? Whereas now I'm no, that doesn't go that way at all. I'm fine now. There's no problem there. So here we go. And I will just say to anyone watching this, me and Karma spent 45 minutes trying to connect. We've tried on Discord, and we Karma couldn't hear me. I could hear her. She couldn't hear me. Then we couldn't hear each other, and I don't know. And we tried connecting directly, and I don't know what was going on. So we connected through WhatsApp in the end, and I don't know how this recording is going to come out. I hope it's come out all right. But if the levels are a bit high, then I apologise in advance because it wouldn't let me work through OBS, so I couldn't adjust the levels. So I've just had to hope that it's going to be okay. So I just thought I'd better say that in case anyone's wondering, thinking, no, you know, why is this loud? Why is that loud? Why is that too quiet? Or what have you? That's the reasons behind it.
Right.
You know. So
Yeah, the disclaimer.
disclaimer, yeah. I'm not
Mhm.
bad on this. I'm not rubbish at this. It's just, although this is my first interview, not that I've had to say a lot too much today, but it's there's a first
But you
interview and I
say
have
you're not
enjoyed it.
rubbish at this. That's so cool. I'm not rubbish at this. I'm not rubbish at this.
No, not
That's
honest.
so,
I'm not.
that's so cute. I like that.
Yeah.
I'm not rubbish at this. Oh man. I think you've been hacked. I'm definitely gonna have to use that one time. I'm not rubbish at this.
No,
Like
not rubbish.
I'm not, I like it. It's so cute. Hmm.
Yeah. So here we go. Don't know what to say now. Think before the interview, you've got all these things planned out, and then when it's just to go wrong, it's like, oh, it's not meant to be. As soon as I said it's not meant to be, we
That's just
connected then. It's funny, isn't it?
yeah, and I think that it's. I mean, like this is still good because I mean, it's just nice to hear what you go through and different experiences from people who are similar or share like similar type of experiences, and just like the belief for it to where I'm not just talking and people are like, "Oh, this girl's crazy," because I talk about this stuff on my shows and stuff, and people Klebrimeska tuninito asafa dele kashkara babe kare beska wa shunita sigara gaya bubokaya I see them on yeah, and to the whole lot of that cop. Pour them up, I see them on. See, you got to do something. I don't got a much come up, but you know what you're supposed to do. And calabrón, you got para in that the capas capu, what cap, before the little kaya, baba, you got some hesitant, got lotion, and what the got fuck up people, but that they can boss, show it's your responsibility. Kasi din no, and then tolen ka find maybe that who's going to if you don't do it kapushkulo wo pa pepe wo pa kapapara that renta brum pa casa mama and then do pa kaya and then you know kolos wo ko you know what you're supposed to do because for the bush but you're debating something and you're not doing it and for whatever reason you know you're supposed to do it but you're holding off from doing it and like I was saying you got to do it and if you don't do it soon it's going to be a negative effect like you've been allowed to be patient about it and allowed to wait or stall or whatever, but you're not supposed to anymore. And just show little bit of es que vamos a hablar, vamos a mama and some mama and a solomofo. Pues go for the motor, siento. I sent for the bus, and it's just gonna be more and more and more. Like it's whatever stalling is causing like to kind of hinder or slow down like it's going to completely stop it if you don't move forward. So I don't know what it is, but whatever you got going on you're supposed to do it. If you've been debating doing it you're supposed to because of what show for the mama. And you know this and that's all they keep like it's just like you know you're supposed to do it, you know you're supposed to do it, you know this like I'm not telling you something you don't already know. It's just you've not been doing it and you got to do it. Whatever it is, you got to do it. Because there's other kids you got to do it. You got to do it. You got to do it. And then piss somebody off or not piss them off, but they're like, hey guy, you got stuff to do, and then you got to do it. So I would just do it if I were you. Whatever it is you're not doing, just do it. It's no big deal. Everything's gonna be good. Kala ba mention mata de kapapachika na mo botoro tatale kepe me no mama and you know better to but let me but you weren't raised to be scared. Like you're not supposed to be fearful. Like you're making excuses as to this and I don't know what I don't shoot the messenger. But whatever it is, even if you're making the excuses to yourself, like it's not warranted. You have to do something different, and that's gonna blend my most and my mama and and it's gonna work for you. It's gonna be better for you. Whatever it is, it's gonna make it better for you. So kabasha ba papel anel asiro ba de bedu de viro ba de mulut de cover sa much kapa bullet raka pape kapa mbaka a esele to kapa for sure. Osmin iskala foreign metika abi de so sort of forte. Sort of forte. Cinema te cinema. Oh, this Karamoshura? Papi. Claritas Tarabase Capasha Bolopoto Poto Bashareta and Descapia Positorio. And then well, I do know, but I don't want to say that, but I'm going to go over the Tarabas get a baba. Because I'm only Massimo. Yes, and I'm going to get better. That's a pick or a body shot. Just Momo Shamono. So, yeah, I guess so. That's all I have for you there.
So, so what happened then? You were channeling. Is that how you channel? Is it? Is that you?
How they channel.
How they?
I
Yeah.
just was talking to you, and it's kind of a like, hey, got something I gotta say here. I wasn't doing it on purpose. That's one of the
Yeah.
things. Like,
I know that message was right. I knew it. I could feel it. You know, I knew it straight away. I was spot on. I just was curious because I've not seen anyone like express a channeling like that. I haven't seen anyone channeling
because the name
anyway.
of the father, man, cause they keep saying, cause I'm the oracle, cause she the oracle, but there's so many of us there's and I don't like when they say that, but a lot of people say that, and even like here when I'm like just out and stuff, and like because then people when they know they expect stuff and when people expect stuff they kind of go out of their way like you were saying to like make you wrong, but I don't like it's not. So most people would be quiet or hide in some type of box, but I express it. I don't let I there's a voice here for a reason,
Yeah.
and I'm supposed to use it. So I don't attempt to suppress it. So even if sometimes like I do have, but even on Roger's show, sometimes I'll just like have some weird outbursts. It's not weird to me though. It's weird probably because all of a suddenly, but I also know that more people could if they not maybe at the same. Oh, I apologize. My phone battery is gonna. I got it here. But like more people could do it and could be in tune, but they're afraid, and so like I'm not gonna say no, I'm not right now. Like sometimes I do. Like on my live, when people come and I know they're there and they're talking to me, like I get frustrated because I can't. It'll be their spirit talking directly to me. Like
Yeah.
I'm gonna give any. There's a friend that I have or associate that I have, an acquaintance, and me and this person have been through a lot of different things, but our souls are like deeply connected, and so as a result, his soul kind of project itself into me, and he'll talk and be like, "Hey." Kind of like and he'll tell me his feelings, and it'll be where I speak them out loud accurately, and then he'll maybe be in my live or something, and like I'll be right about what I'm saying, and then he'll make sure that I know that what I'm saying from his spirit through my body, through my mouth, is accurate. And it's just like it makes me, I don't like to say necessarily, it does keep me safe. It does. It keeps me out of harm's way. It's almost like before stuff happens, I'm already aware.
Yeah.
I know when something's going to be off, you know what I mean, and I'm able to kind of protect myself and my family and protect others.
Yeah. I had a dream once. I don't know what it means. Of me, me and my family in a bubble. Funny enough, a cocoon or whatever you call it. And all around us, people were coughing and we were being sick, and we were like in a cocoon. So I just thought, for some reason, I thought maybe we're not going to get COVID, but we've had COVID, so it's not that. So I don't know what it meant, but I remember it happening. I'm not really sure to this day properly what it means, other than some sort of protection of some kind, I think. Anyway, I'm gonna have to shoot very soon, as I said, if I could pick my boy up from school. One
Hey,
thing I want to ask you, as you're the first person I interviewed, I've no idea what I'm going to call this particular series because I've got a few interviews lined up for my Wonderful World of Weirdness channel. I really don't know what I'm going to call them. Have you any ideas what I could call it?
like the enlightenment,
Huh?
the enlightenment. I don't know, the enlightenments or enlightenments, enrichments. Um,
Yeah. But
uh,
then
enlightenment.
some of the stories might be like, yeah, I could do. Some stories might be like, one's coming up is about life after, about NDE experiences and stuff like that. You could be Enlightenment, yeah. I'll have a think. I'm not sure. Hmm.
And you said about the bubble thing. Your family probably is not to say immune, but like you are. So we've been able to, like, you've all survived. Like you guys didn't really get really sick. Like you got sick, but you didn't get sick. You didn't get deathly sick.
No,
And
no,
like now,
never.
when more variants will come, you'll be protected. Like you're not affected by the stuff that's happening. That's the symbolization of the bubble. Like the stuff
Ah,
that
yeah, yeah.
happens,
That makes sense. Well done. Spot
even
on.
in this world,
Spot on.
every everything is going, you're going to be good. Like the world's going to end and people are going to die, but you and your family are going to sustain, and that's what it means. And you just have to be used to it. You'll rebuild your empire based on the mismo tono me que bebe born mata and you go show ya. Yeah, you could like, you're okay, you're good. Your family is like it's like the Passover kind of thing,
Yeah.
and like that was like your blood on top of the door, your symbol to let you know that your family has been saved.
Okay.
Especially as long as you do what you're supposed to do, your
Yeah.
family's saved. But I'm telling you, you get better experience, and you get better opportunities, and it's just an easier transition throughout the chaos.
Yeah.
As long as you follow follow your heart. I was going to reword it, but the exact words are follow your heart. Follow what you know what you're supposed to do. So yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna have to. I'm gonna have to fly. Sorry.
Okay, dokie.
I
No, you don't have to apologize. Thanks for having me. I
Yeah. I
appreciate the
definitely
opportunity.
want another. I want a part two of this. If that's okay, another interview at some point in the future. Is that all right?
Yeah, you have my direct contact now.
Yeah.
So anytime you feel you want to, just let me know.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, I'd like to because I think we really probably could have talked for a lot longer. It's just that I have to go because we got delayed at the beginning.
It,
So I definitely would like
yeah.
to do and hear more from you for the future for sure.
Okay.
Okay.
That sounds good. Well, you have a good rest of
Uh,
your day and you be safe.
and you. There we are.
Thank
Bye for
you.
now.